I've been in India for over 900 days. I've traveled around a good bit of India.
Good morning. Spinning around in the Ganges.
And I'm seeing some common misconceptions. In fact, it can make me a bit upset sometimes to look at some aspects of some stories or some media that are just focusing on a tiny thing that is a problem actually, but doesn't capture the full picture of what India is. India is huge because India is diverse. India has a lot going for it. And in this video, I want to clear up some of those myths and just share what I've seen actually being here for so long. I hope that if you're a traveler coming to India, that this video will help arm you with knowledge about what to expect. My time in India has been some of the most special of my life. I've learned so much and had some amazing experiences. I want you to have something similar. Now, one thing to mention, I haven't seen all of India yet. I've spent most of my time in South India in Tamil Nadu, but I've been fortunate to travel around India a good bit. 3,600 mile trip if you want to check that out. After being here so long, I do feel like I've gotten a unique perspective that I hope will help you. The first thing we should cover is the languages, because often I get asked, how are you able to communicate with anyone? A lot of people don't know how prevalent English is in India. Like, I don't live in the biggest place. I live in a smaller city, and I can communicate pretty well with almost everybody. I have what I need, I can get what I need, and there's plenty of people who speak great English.
Hi.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Bharat.
When I've been to big cities like Bangalore or Chennai, I can communicate with almost everybody. A lot of these people speak amazing English, and it's almost like you're just talking to someone from America.
So American of Benjamin not to eat the skin. Because the
Except they got that cool Indian accent thing.
skin is so dirty and he doesn't want to eat it and he's American.
You eat the skin? Yeah, I eat the skin. I've seen the question even that Indians speak Indian. But of course, if you are watching this video, you probably know that the official language of India is Hindi. However, I think only 60% of Indians speak Hindi, and each state, the 29 states, have their own language. So this means that the majority of educated people might speak 3 languages pretty well. They speak Tamil where I am here down in South India, but there are also so many different varieties of these languages, and I've heard a stat that there are 19,000 dialects across India. When I've been learning Tamil from a local lady here, she often teaches me what is the official Tamil and then what do the local people speak. There's a big difference. So unlike America, where most people only speak English, there are so many people here that speak multiple languages, and if you're like me, you'd be able to communicate even if you only speak English. Another one isn't India just full of poor people? Isn't everyone poor here? Isn't it a huge slum? While slum videos may be popular on YouTube, the middle class in India is huge, and it's only getting larger. Apparently by 2025, over 55% of India will be the middle class. This would mean the middle class in India is larger than the USA and larger than China. Now, of course, there are poor people here in India, just like anywhere, but there are also super nice places. Most of the homes that I go in are very nice, respectable. I could totally live in them. Also, isn't India covered in trash? That's another common misconception here in India. Now, India does have a sanitation problem. That is a fact. However, it's not what you'd probably think if you're used to looking at the media. I live in a place a little out of the city, and it's beautiful here, and there's very little trash. I've been here since 2018. In a state like Kerala, one of the first things my mom and my aunt noticed was how clean the cities were. I've been on hikes where there's no trash whatsoever. Now, if you go to a place in a huge city like Delhi, you're gonna find a lot of trash. Or what some tourists do is they wanna spend as little money on their accommodation as possible, so they go to a place in Delhi like Paharganj, I think it's called, super cheap rent, but this is like not a good place where you'd wanna hang out. Just like when I was in the USA, in Austin, Texas, there are some parts of town that are gonna have more trash than others. This leads me to another point about India being dangerous. A question I often receive is, has my wallet been picked? Have I been scammed? Has someone broken into my house? And I have had very little problems since being in fact, India. Most of the time I find people are trying to help me out. Like I'll be walking down the street and some woman will point at my pocket because there's a little bit of money sticking out of it and I need to push it deeper into my pocket so it doesn't fall out. Or if people notice that I'm in a weird situation, I'm looking around like what the heck is going on, someone might come up to me and ask me how they can help. I think this also comes back to just being a smart traveler. When I read about some people who've had negative experiences, you look at where they're trying to stay and their budget is often super low. Like they're trying to travel India on a tiny budget. And you can travel India on a moderate budget and have an amazing time. Literally $15 hotel rooms in India are pretty good. People are trying to spend $5 on a hotel room. And with that, like, what do you expect? You're going to be in a part of town that's a little bit more risky. The same way if you try to stay in a part of town with super cheap hotels in the USA. As I've traveled, I've always looked for decent hotels. I'm reading the ratings well. I'm getting a sense if this is a nice hotel to stay in. I know it's not some genius strategy. It's just doing your diligence. And being willing to pay $5 more can often lead to a much better experience. The same goes with food. Many people think that the food here will get you sick, and I've been here for over 900 days, and I've never been seriously ill. I've never been stuck in bed, puking, or anything like that. Now, I have had rumblings in my stomach, and the associated problems that you might think go along with that. India has such rich and different food than America. That's natural. I have that if I go out to a restaurant in America as well. If you choose restaurants that get good reviews on the internet, particularly, you might look for someone who is a foreigner, because if a foreign stomach is giving it a rave review, that's a good sign for you. If you're on the street trying street food, go to the one that has a ton of people there. Food's going to be fresher. That's like the local version of Yelp. That's the local version of TripAdvisor. 2 thumbs up reviews there. When I was first in India, I was very cautious and I think I missed out on some delicious foods as I was in Varanasi, as I was in Agra, as I was in Delhi, as I was in Kerala. And I can't wait to go around and try more foods with this more adventurous approach. Quick interruption, please tap that like button so we can share this video with more people so they know the truth about India as well. And Indian food is not just curry. In fact, Indians rarely use that word. That's like a British word for Indian food. They were lazy and they're just like, what do we want to call this? It's curry, let's have more curry. And that has spread around the world, really. Many cultures have a curry. I did a video about curry if you want to get more into the different varieties. But basically, India has so many different types of food. I could live here the rest of my life and not try it all. Here is a very short list of some of the favorites. Each place and state has different styles and cuisines. It varies from house to house too, because Indians have this mindset about food that is just different than American mindsets. One good example of that is a thali. Like where I live, having a thali for lunch is the thing to have, but you can order a thali in most restaurants, yet it's going to be different in each one. And it varies day to day at the same restaurant too. They're going to add different dishes based on whatever vegetables they have that day. India has some amazing cooks, and the food does not all taste the same. When I was first here, I thought a thali all tasted the same. And now I'm noticing the different subtleties in the different dishes and how they work in harmony with each other. How you can have a spicy dish and then a curd dish afterwards to help soothe you from the spice. How there might be a sour flavor and then a sweet flavor, spicy flavor, and then a non-spicy flavor. You can get food that's not that spicy as well. The food is not all super spicy. Some of it is, but not all of it. And if you don't want spicy food, you can ask them to make it not spicy. In fact, most tourist places are gonna have food that's geared towards Western tastes. Now, if you want to be an adventurous tourist, you are gonna go to some of the more interesting places, the street food places, the authentic places, and even these places, in most cases, aren't gonna have super spicy food. Some will though. I should also cover traffic. Because when people think of India, they often think of huge traffic jams, people driving everywhere. And, you know, there is that if it's rush hour. If it's Mumbai, if it's Delhi, if it's a huge city, you're gonna run into that. Where I live, I've not been in a real traffic jam. And some of the highways look just as nice as American highways. In fact, if I didn't see, the Indian landscape, I'd think I was in America. For instance, going from Delhi to Agra, beautiful highway. Now, is India noisy or is it peaceful? I think in America, we think it's a bit of both. My grandma made some sort of comment about me having a very peaceful time here in India. And while there is an aspect of that, because I think India gets associated with spirituality, and it's very popular here.
Happy. When we cannot think about him, sorrow.
Where I live, there are a lot of spiritual tourists who come here to meditate and what's the word for it? Let's just say meditate for many years. But I think there's a misunderstanding that spirituality is peaceful, and India is not necessarily peaceful. It can be pretty noisy, chaotic, and there's a lot going on, basically. This kind of leads to another stereotype that India is super noisy, because you hear the honks from the horns, and there's a lot of people, and they're all crammed into a city. And that's true in a certain sense, that things can be pretty noisy in certain places. Where I live, though, every night when I go to sleep, I listen to the crickets outside my open window, and it's beautiful and quiet. Isn't India super cheap? Well, the cost of living in India is much lower than the USA. I think I've heard a stat that it's 63% lower than in the USA. So you can find many items that are cheaper. For instance, if we went out to dinner, we could have dinner for $5 at a typical local place. And that would be a nice meal, a delicious meal. In America, if you went out to a nice dinner, you're gonna pay about $25 for a nice meal. But some things in India are expensive, and I just did a video about the things in America that are cheaper in India. And it's basically electronics and more high-end luxury goods that aren't too common here in India. For instance, Apple computers, luxury handbags. Watch my video for more, I cover all the details. I just bought some new gear for the channel, got a light, got some microphones, got a new mouse for editing. And I know that I was paying 20% or 25% more than I'd be paying for the US prices. Also, aren't there people who are going to try to sell you water bottles with just tap water in it? And isn't that tap water going to get you sick? There's that popular movie about India. What's it called? I'm thinking now. Oh, I'm forgetting it. You know the movie about the kid who goes on the game show and you show his life growing up. Slumdog Millionaire, that's the one. Now, for a lot of Americans, and myself included, I thought this, and when I came here, I did think that I needed to be really cautious about not buying bottled water that had a tap that was unscrewed, because someone might be trying to scam me and get me sick. I've not seen anything like that here. I've never had a single problem with tap water. Bottled water's everywhere. It's always ready to go with a nice top on it. Basically, don't worry about that, because odds you're gonna face it are super low. And I use my tap water here at the house for washing my dishes, for washing my hands, for washing stuff. I'm sure that some of the tap water has gotten into my system, and I'm completely fine. Nothing's happened. And in fact, I feel super healthy over here in India with the healthy vegetarian food that I mostly eat. And the simple lifestyle I've been able to live as I've been over here. There's probably more, but I feel like we've covered a bunch. Overall, though, I've obviously loved my time here in India and feel like there's so much more to explore, and would totally recommend it to anyone who has an interest in India, is feeling that itch to come to India. With the right preparation and attitude, you can have a one-of-a-lifetime trip as well. For more, check this video about Indian hygiene habits that Americans could learn.